The same thing. What Julian Robinson and Mark going to play in March. I tell what now. The bus now.
Let me tell you something. Listening and understanding are clearly in short supply.
Mrs. Shees, you can't what you want to.
Welcome to the hotline for today, Friday, the 11th November 2022. So good to be with you. Look at that. We have two doubles in the numbers today, you know. We have double one and we have double two. Look at that. Legs times two, double two. Make what you will of that. Thank you so much. We know you have choices, so we're very happy when you come here. And we do hope you find reasons to stay. This is the hotline. Well. This country is in need of a reset in so many areas. The chaos, the disorder, the indiscipline, the refusal to act, to curb, the pace at which things get done at a time when even cricket has sped up from test. We've always had ODIs, but now they have shortened forms because people have appetite for something else. But things move, things happen. What is moving and happening in Jamaica is degradation of the society, societal decay and rot. I spoke to Derek and Paula this morning, and I was happy when he asked about the matter of the disorder on the roads. So many people are literally getting sick because of the elevated stress levels under which we have to travel when using the Jamaican roadway. No order whatsoever. The impatience, the impoliteness, everything is wrong about us. And I had to wonder aloud to Derek and Paula, why have we sat and allowed this thing to go on? It used to be that we complained that the taxi drivers would bad drive and do all sort of things, but now, irrespective of the license plate, whether it's red plate or white plate or blue plate, everybody is a part of this disorder. And at some point in time, we've got to have a referendum on the leadership of the country and to see whether they have done what they need to do to cause order to be restored to the nation. The Vice Chair of the National Road Safety Council, Dr. Lucien Jones, is a crusader for road safety. He's been pleading for years for the need for the reform and the repeal of the old Road Traffic Act, the passage of the Act, and for the Act to be brought into being with the accompanying regulations. But it's not only that the Act must come, what is it that it must come with? A crucial portion of the Act is about enabling electronic monitoring of vehicles on the road. So things like jumping red lights, speeding, lane switching, all of those things that decent first world societies jump into long time because they recognize a policeman on the road with a so-called speed gun cannot always be available. So anywhere you go in the world and you rent a motor vehicle, you pass up your details. And if the vehicle you rent jump a red light or goes through a toll without paying the requisite fee, and you don't pay the fee on time as stipulated, you are going to get your red note wherever you are at the address that you left at the place. You're going to get it and you have to pay it. But no, it doesn't happen here. We find all kinds of reasons why this can't be done. And in a year, when so many things have happened over the last 3 years, even when we were under lockdown, COVID time, the road fatalities were still high. And I've learned from Dr. Lucian Jones that we are now up 397 people killed on the roads. Because nobody's there to monitor speed. And the bad breed, unruly, selfish, every single thing you can think of Jamaicans, who everybody is like in a constant hustle. We don't care. Or people's lives are entrusted in our care. And we just a shot it. And so we say we a shot it. We just a kill off people. And nothing so. And on top of that, apart from the killing, those who remain are barely alive because of the personal injury which incapacitates them, which prevents them providing for their family, and for whom the healthcare bill of the country is in millions turning to billions yearly. And you have administrations that do very little to accelerate the thing that is going to help us. You know, the other day I saw the JCF, I think it was, put up something. Because the JCF is starting, obviously, in its investigations to do a lot more use of technology. The assistance of Jamaica Eye. And they released a picture of a young man. Beautiful picture with such clarity. Because the young man had allegedly robbed some women and turned around to use the phone cards, the bank cards rather, taken from the young women in an ATM. And the police were able to put out, with the help of media, the image captured of this young man at the ATM. And I use it to make the point that had it not been for the joint up sort of investigation and commitment that is now there, where you capture this thing that maybe nobody on 2 foot will say them see. Here we have the picture of this young man that somebody can now turn up and identify him to say, yes, I know this person, which will help the police in their investigation. Why is it so hard for us to move into what is really 20th century work in getting assistance with managing the chaos on our roads? Why are the road fatalities now competing with the murder numbers? It's pretty bad. I'll declare interest here. I'll declare it. I declared it this morning. And frankly, it's not even interest anymore, because you get to a point where you couldn't really care if this thing happens. Because the reason you desired it years ago is so we don't have the numbers that we have now. But the state bureaucracy is so slow. It is so disinterested in what needs to happen that things don't get done. I'm a part of a team that put in an application to Dr. Davies when he was transport minister. Transport minister, Dr. Davies, for electronic monitoring of vehicles. And you can count the number of years and the number of administrations and the numbers of ministers that have passed since then. And we are no closer to anything. And the societal degradation continues. If it is that something in the alternative was available, that's going to cause us to, stay in a state of normalcy, then I could understand. But when you watch how the systems degrade and you watch how our people, when they go into orderly society, they do not dare behave in the ways they behave in Jamaica, you know that what is missing is the absence of proper technology to regulate our actions. So Dr. Jones has informed the media of the outcome of a meeting of the National Road Safety Council. This is what he said.
The Prime Minister's special appointee to the National Road Safety Council, Minister Floyd Green, convened a meeting of the council today. Among the issues discussed were the rollout of the provisions of the new Road Traffic Act, the improvements to the ticketing system, the sad reality of 397 precious lives killed on our roads, and short-term measures to mitigate the soaring number of people dying, including a young woman who was killed 2 days short of her birthday this week, causing untold pain and grief for the family. The strong message coming out of the meeting is that soon and very soon, when the provisions of the new act are rolled out and we have a more efficient ticketing system, unless people begin to change their behavior on our roads, driver license will be suspended more and more, and huge fines by those who speed, drive out and bad, run the red light, and engage in other dangerous practices on our road. The National Road Safety Council, working with its many stakeholders, is intent on curbing the alarmingly high number of people dying on our roads during the run-up to the Christmas season and way beyond. Just got to stop the madness on our roads and give people a chance to enjoy life and not have them planning funerals.
Well, this is a soon and very soon country. A soon which come Christmas too. Suppose we'll wait. This sort of start and stop society that we have. I heard Canute here talking about pay up outstanding traffic tickets by Christmas. Every single time is like we have some moratorium on something until such time. Yeah? The vending goes on in all sorts of areas. People put up shop anywhere they want, put up shop. Yeah, the blind can't walk on the sidewalk because it is taken over. And you can't move anybody in November because Christmas are come. Christmas come, you can't move them because back to school January are come. January come, you can't move them because Easter come. Easter come, you can't move them because summer, them have to get money to buy uniform to go back to school. And the cycle continues. I know a couple businesses downtown Kingston that literally have to be closing their shops and going elsewhere because what? The vendors have taken over the front of the establishment for years. And the leadership of downtown Kingston does nothing about it. And the people have to bend down to go in them shop. The clients who are going in to buy stuff, the customers, they have to be bending down on the vendors close to go into the shops. And the owners of the shops can't say nothing when them front page take over by vendors. Never mind the proximity of the vending area close to them. Everybody want it on front page. You think any society can run like this? I remember at the turn of this year, one of the things I recommended to the government, the simple things matter. Return the society to some semblance of order. Look at the Lee Kuan Yew model. Because people are losing faith in this country. Too many of the simple things that come at you every day are completely dysfunctional. And people who have proper legal rights can't talk because the illegal people have the loudest voices. Is this a society we wish to continue in? Isn't it part of the role of government to put policies in place to regulate how things happen and to ensure that we don't reach the state of breakdown that we are at? On a good news note, I met this young man some years ago. And I say met in quote unquote because my son was at the time they were in the same year graduating from Woolmer's boys. And this young man was the valedictorian. And I remember when I sat in the auditorium and listened to his valedictory speech, I believe I came on radio and said, this young man is one day going to become the Prime Minister of Jamaica. David Salmon. He was so bright. His delivery was just sartorial, just beautiful. And then I learned a couple weeks ago that he was the valedictorian at the graduation ceremony for the University of the West Indies. Only to get up this morning as well and to see that David Salmon is the 2023 Rhodes Scholar. And I just want to say, when Fola got bigger see time foot. I mean, I'm getting enough for language today, and I had enough for language yesterday, but I cannot imagine the joy of David's parents. I see a picture of David and his mother here, Donna here, Roden Salmon, on the front page. I don't know where his father is, but to cultivate a young man like this, the strong parental upbringing and support must have been present. And I want us to look for the positive role models, encourage them, encourage our children to emulate young people like these, to plan ahead for where you think you want to go and just get into action. Because it's just a hunch I had, and I said it publicly. Mark, I don't know what's going to happen, but when you just get a feeling, I don't know if he's a member of any political party. He certainly, I don't think he was a part of any at the time, because remember, it's Woolmer's I saw him. But there is something special about this young man, and I think he needs to be told and told publicly. So congratulations to you, David Salmon, and to your parents, who I'm sure have been integral to your development into what is one of the finest examples of Jamaica. Thank you, listeners. We're back with you on the hotline. In the Parliament on Tuesday, we heard in the first supplementary estimates where the Finance Minister said that an allocation of 21 billion has now been set aside for the intending wrapping up of the negotiations regarding salaries for public sector workers. And he also said that based on management of the books for this money to be paid retroactive to the 1st of April 2022, which is the start of the fiscal year 2022-23, then it needs to be settled before, so that the payout can be made in this fiscal year, which ends on the 31st of March. One got the impression from the Financial Secretary, Darlene Morrison, when she appeared before the Public Accounts Committee, that also, the expectation is that the public sector unions would sign off on this new round of wage negotiations. But I heard a news item here from Radio Jamaica this morning that at least one group appears satisfied with where things are, but there are other members of the umbrella organization, the Jamaica Confederation of Trade Unions. Some groups in there are not satisfied, and one group is sort of itching to sign, and the others are, let me say, hem and ha. DT, we have to talk about hem and ha in X&Y. Let's see who is hemming and who is hawing. Thank you, listeners. We are back with you on the hotline, coming to your calls now. 876-926-2178, 926-8631, 926-7615, and 1-888-991-2080. We remind you we have On the Pulse with Public Health coming up at 10:30, where we will engage with the minister. He will take your calls, and he will let us know where he intends to go. My hope, Minister, is that you will be able to answer some of the questions that I have regarding the death of the babies at Victoria Jubilee. I have been away, was unwell last week, and I still have a lot of catching up to do with the news, but I do not know whether some of the questions I have been answered, and I'd certainly like the answers. So please farm out some time On the Pulse with Public Health to come prepared to give me those answers. 926-2178, morning. Hello? 2178? Right. 7615, morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Kooms, how are you?
217, don't want to talk to you, man. Don't want to talk to you.
Yes.
Anyway, listening to you yesterday, Pato, different from Quitual. Pato come out there from 8, 9, 10, 11, and the later the night and the morning fly.
I thought a Patuk are the same thing as owl.
Ma'am?
The Patuk and the owl, not the same thing. No, we just call the Patuk owl.
Yeah.
Yes, are the same thing, owl.
Yeah, well, Quitual now, you see? We listen to the boy when baby are born. Well, Mark, everybody come with different idea, but let me tell you, I don't always know more everybody, but when a Quitual go over your house and ball, you make doctor creator say somebody in that house are dead.
What?
When my wife died the 8th of November 2003,
Jesus.
you have the expect of you can see our Mrs. Sheila. And my house broad, no, my house is about 50 feet wide. And right at the wall, I'm like, quick! And by the time you go over the middle house, quick! And I say, that's about the money that I choose. And my wife said the third night, the 8th. You want 40 for 44 years. But next year again, you have a youngster.
So you know anybody else who had that experience?
Several people, Mrs. G. Several. Every time when we go, some African did them, some we are talker.
Yeah.
And my mother and myself and some of the children they used to go for the night time. And anytime you hear a Quitual pass, you hear two man say, hear me? Somebody will go tomorrow. By a week or somebody will go. And but me pick me go up me hear that. And anybody will call into the different country.
Yeah,
well,
but when them say somebody a go, it's usually older people. I know, but can you see some people now, if you have somebody who live in the house and who is 90 odd, you have a couple old people in a community, then you sort of naturally expect that them going to die soon.
My wife died about 64. She had
That's what I was asking. Okay, so it's not necessarily old people. Okay.
My wife cook.
Yes.
Go wash clothes and live Paris and pipeline and thing, and me take some, and when she come from back, she said, the whole of your feel, when I said, Joe, and when we live there, she cook dinner on her son at even time, and that just 3 doors. And I see up my wife, I listen to radio, talk show, and she like the grill. Walk up there and say, we must steal, listen good, you know. She said, we must steal yet to come for dinner, but she come down early. And she never come back, Mrs. Shield, believe me. This me know. She wash, take up the clothes and go up and say, whatever left the pot on my own, she eat already. And she said, we must steal yet for dinner, me go over eat.
Yes.
And when me doing, somebody come to me, never wake up, prepare family. And somebody come by, and my son said, come here. And me go to my short pants. She put on a pants, man. I said, what? I said, Jilly dead, because Jilly said, Jilly dead. I said, what? And we take care of me, everyone. You know, see him care of me, everyone. Go, just on the road, that Dr. Man here. And when we go, she died on my bed, stiff, stone, dead. He said, Doctor, really dead? He said, yes.
A heart attack she had?
Yeah, I can tell you why now. Listen now. My nephew, our worker, and she carry money to America, go buy the worker. And gunman kill her nephew and kill 2 more men. All right now, and she take it to her and say, she never carry the money to buy the worker. He moved on the worker. So I can't to her, so wait forget that man, and she have in her heart, and she have in her heart. But let me tell you, go down. The worker man now, somebody come from Paris and buy some coke. Up on place because it's people report, and so them give them 1 man of report and the job down. We carry the car in every pan worker. Come at town for when you wake up. When you carry the pan worker now, nobody, the policeman go suspect anything. And the car may never not to be here. And we are not far, and then can't come. Something wrong with the worker, but by tomorrow if you don't get anything. And the man is soon go to the car, the man says to come to the worker. And then go for the worker. People report and they go up and turn.
Yes. Hold on a second, Mr. Coombs. Please let me take a break. We're back with you. Sorry, Mr. Coombs.
Yeah. So, when I come back and not to be, my wife never live on not to be. No, but on be. So, in fact, the work out the road, I'm going to change him to and go off some breakfast. The man, them was trail the worker, the gunman, them like car. Back at the worker, you know. So, them never know. My wife, they don't come out of it. They come out, but don't go on. When I change the clothes and come back. So when the car come off, if you come off a town, and when them discover it, 3/4 of the coke gone. So then car by the worker man now. But the tell the man who get the job to carry the worker, name the worker, you know. So then car the worker man say the car will move from this and go somewhere else. And then tell him why we come. No have Grange there, no have Pines down there. So when they go down there now, I train them, the worker man, the driver, the man will get the job and the worker side man. So them show the worker man, show the side man, show the man will get the job. So the side man run and they run him down and stab him. But which one was the 2 years for fire gun. So they eventually train them dead now. So when the thing busts out now, they say they shouldn't kill the worker driver and the side man. They shouldn't kill the man will get his job. For him now take off the coke and we go up when he go back. So he never get to because the coke, so him get the coke.
Is what year this now? What year that happened?
Hold on, my wife died 2008. I believe that's 2000. You can't look it up, you know.
Yeah. You can't look it up. I want to hear from you. I love to hear your story.
I don't quite know, but 2008 November, call it 2009.
Yes. Okay.
No, sorry.
2007.
2008, same 2008. So I said go and me hear everything. Me have feedback. I used to go Port and Tony and me find out. Me know where the government live. Me know where they name. But me have good feedback. Me go to Port and Tony walk and me get a good feedback. And me tell the policeman everything. You put the investigating officer. You say, me find out when you jokes when I come out. Me say, man, with the bad word that. Me tell him for bad word now. Me say, we ask me say, yeah, but me don't want to call the name now.
No, you can't call his name.
The policeman, you need to live from my old
That's fine.
and me get one house across the water.
Yes.
Yeah, me so we ask myself, but me if you don't want coke, man, I come, me no know coke, man. Me only hear about it. And me get all them information and tell you, but me see, that is that. Come back to the road traffic. You know, but I'll beat up a company. But that now, the jet pan road, that's not going to stop.
It have to stop, Mr. Coombs.
It cannot stop me, see.
It is bad out there, you know. When last you go up on road, you not go up on road unless you go to hospital, so you can't stay there talk.
Right,
it's still bad out there.
Huh?
Honestly.
It's still bad, me know, but you're not going to stop it going worse.
It can't worse.
Mrs. Chill, one Minister of Finance, he said, anybody plays by the rule get shafted. Listen, I was going to eye doctor of Natal. And the man start jump on board. He say, Indian, the money will you give me if you go up Natal there. If me follow the rule, when you go reach up there. So he say, you know, you're the big man, so if you play by the rule, you get shafted.
Well,
tell me.
We have to change that, you know.
Well,
that's why me into society that deal with order. We have to change that.
One taxman, me regular taxman couldn't come on one man, you know. And one taxman come in and go while time and shut that drive. And me tell him somebody on that car, me say, if he want push me out of my bed with him, but you don't drive good. At 38 years, me up on the road. And thank God at one time I pay $3,000 for one to back side.
Right.
So,
all right.
Thanks for listening, ma'am.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend.
Yes. Toll free, I'm with you. Good morning.
Me see you want
not a thing walking shop.
Me hear you cut and clear for yesterday, no brother.
We have to cut and clear, Jesus. Cut and clear. Up here crosses are going. Crosses.
I tell you, Mr. Perkins left every laughing deal.
Yeah?
Yes, man.
Well, I'm glad me get some dead left here.
And you look like you drink up some honey and lime to clear for your throat.
Now have to clear it out. Have to clear it out and use them. It is something the name for gargle. Yes, we have to clear out.
Talk about patu.
Patu. Sensuous.
Control.
But you run with the sensuous people them to walking shop?
Yeah?
Nobody run with the sensuous people them when they come, you know.
Oh, if you don't run them, me see.
Oh, come here, so people are run with sensuous people.
Yes, man, me here too, man, but me couldn't go do that.
It look like people mad, you know.
Oh, man, me couldn't do that, man.
I want starting to come and tell me what is happening with that.
They don't reach me yet, man. Me couldn't go do that, me see. Couldn't go do that, man. They don't reach me yet, man.
So what you say, you have control down there?
Let us have me a boy control, man. So a boy control and say you get control about you know, say a woman go deliver.
Kuya, what another that Mr. Coombs say?
Yes, me say another thing, he say, but we don't know of it. We don't know of that.
Somebody told me about the baby being born yesterday, but Mr. Coombs hear the other thing now. Say as somebody I got dead.
Yeah, man. Anytime all right, me didn't live up around place that's up a 4 road. I want a big hill the top of it. And anytime you hear saying turn down the hill and come down the river, you know somebody are going to deliver baby. Yeah, man. So I go another white forward there, I call Mr. Mullins asking for you and say you're good and everything blessed.
Yes, as me said, the court schedule was really, really tough. And then last week I was just out. Marley gripe and Fluxy complain.
Yes.
Yes. I had a really bad sort of cold. Yeah, that I had to stay put. But me good.
Yeah, man. You call and see, you know, man, that we can do it out your ink, you know. I mean, I tell what I'm going to make. I'm going to be bridging in that shop there, so. Me and Daddy Dow, they know all this, now come from Bush, then go look for you.
Daddy Dow?
Yeah, man, Daddy Dow. In that shop there, so know all this, man. Imagine for a red side here.
At this time of morning, yeah?
Yeah, man, he know God, he just put on for a river, he just put on a river, there, so go look for mule.
Yeah.
And I forward in back, man.
Then I had beer in my drink.
Well, whole beer in my drink, man.
But me no know man I drink beer them at time of morning. Me no understand.
This one no hot like a fire, me see.
They want to water?
Water.
You don't have any water down at the river?
Water down the river, man, then right around this part, the water, if 1,000 million shower rain falling never dirty yet. Right around them, man, come from me.
And he not drink, he ma come drink beer.
Man, drink water around them, and then the buy ticket up, appear, he must smoke no me. Yeah, man, please.
Wait, you not make the porridge this morning?
No, I don't make no porridge this morning, yeah, man. I want little friend up the road, there's one girl that work at Tilani in Tulu.
Tulu?
Yeah, man. Work at Tilani.
What she carry?
Make her have that scrape back for me.
What is the scrape back, yam?
Pork, man, pork.
Oh. Can we just win you have to scrape it after, you know?
And me cook up him and a nice, so, you know, he balance me left in a pot on jello.
Ah, Jesus.
Man, so me back it down with bread and mix on Huntington dandelion tea.
You heat it up though, the jello part?
Yes, man, he heat up him, man.
About how much pound you eat one time?
Oh, me eat one time?
Much pound?
Nah, it don't work for pork again, man. One time, when me used to eat pork, me cook up all 5 pound and them half it.
But, so now you eat too much?
You know, I eat no more 3 pound. 3 pound, me used to cook up 3 pound. No, it's right there, you know, man.
I cannot manage.
This be no, you know, me still. You can't give me rat bait for me plate, you know, man.
You drop off a shape, man.
No, man,
you come down from 5 pound to 3 pound. You drop off a shape, tell me something.
Huh?
You eat any vegetable with that?
What do you mean, me have vegetables?
What kind of vegetable you eat?
Huh?
What kind of vegetable you eat?
Carrot.
Cabbage and carrot? Lord, the phone are broke. Eh? Eh?
Expensive, you know.
But how much pound of cabbage you eat with that?
You know, cabbage.
Ain't that the problem? You cannot eat so much meat one time, man. And how much slice of bread you eat?
I tell you how I love the cabbage now, man. You see, me cut in a 4 and put it on the pot top. Then to make it cook down. You know, that's the way I love it.
Yes, me know. Me like that too. All in a soup, you know.
Yeah, man.
You know it can go in a soup?
Yes, man. But me still then, you know, use the badu heart, man.
Badu heart, yes.
Yeah,
But how much slice of bread you eat with that 3 pound of pork, you know?
If you about slice of bread, man, you have some for bread, me buy, you know, them big bread, you know, so me all half. Some for bread at Christian, man.
Then when you eat that, you eat anything else for the rest of the day?
No, man, me no eat nothing more, man. No eat nothing more.
Well, thank God.
You know, even though as you know, me take one more dandelion tea. Just the blossom part of dandelion, me boil
yes.
Drink, you know.
So it's one time a day you eat?
No, man. But me still that straight, man. Like me could have eat one time a day, man. Hungry that kill me.
Then what else you eat when you eat 3 pound of pork and half a bread?
Me no eat nothing more, man. And me bed, me I go that.
Then so what time of night you eat that?
It's fast food, you know, man. Me no love the place, you know. Me no
what is soon?
Fast food, man.
What is soon? What time?
3 o'clock, 3:30.
Okay, and then you have dandelion tea, go to your bed.
You have to look at my food before man them come from bush, you know, for some time, then come late, you know.
And right, and you have to serve a shop.
Yes, man. So when it's time slack up now, me look at my food and so.
So what you eat for breakfast now?
Since morning. So the same pork me eat up since morning, man.
Nah, Jesus, and pork a morning, pork an evening.
You can't say that pork, man.
You are what you eat, you know.
We didn't kill so hot.
Don't tell me no more, we have to go. Let's go to a break. Little more walking shop. Time now for On the Pulse with Public Health. Happy to have joining me Dr. Christopher Tufton, Minister of Health and Wellness. Minister, welcome to the hotline again.
How are you, Emily? Missed you over the last few weeks. Are you okay?
I'm very well, thank you. Yes, I was unavoidably absent, but thank you so much for rejoining.
We all deserve some rest and relaxation.
Well, I wish I had some of that, but so it is. Dr. Edward Horton, Director of Special Projects. Thank you so much, Dr. Horton, for joining me.
Thank you.
Yes, and I have Mr. Andre Wiltshire, who is Director, Program Coordinator, Planning and Strategic Initiatives. Mr.
Thank you for having me. I'm here.
You.
Good morning to you as well.
Morning, and we have Mrs. Patricia Ingram Martin, who is a Chief Nursing Officer. Welcome, Mrs. Ingram Martin.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Right. Minister, when are you going to give me some time to talk about Victoria Jubilee?
To talk about the what, sorry?
The Victoria Jubilee, the dead babies at Victoria. Are we going to take the time now?
I can talk a little about it. I really want the callers to call, but what is exactly you want to find out?
I'll tell you what. Why don't you give me later? Let's do this on the pulse, since you have so many officials, and then there are some questions I have about it. I'd be happy if you could rejoin me on it, okay? Can we do that? Because I don't want to take away the time. I want to understand why you were silent and the number of other questions. Since I was away, I really don't know what transpired.
Well, I was adequately grilled by your replacement, but anyway, that's fine.
Well, excellent, as I expected. But yes, let's get to the calls and we'll come back. Since you have so many guests this morning, where do you wish to start then?
Well, firstly, I want to thank you and the program for this opportunity and the callers for calling in. We've tried to follow up with most. Last week, I visited on recommendation of a caller the dialysis renal unit at Cornwall Regional Hospital. They did get a few new machines, but there's a large waiting list, about 500. We're served now about 102 patients. The challenge, Emily, is that each year, on average, about 300 per million, which is about 900 to 1,000 Jamaicans, are in need of dialysis because of different issues, diabetes, hypertension, and so on.
How many?
We can't keep up with it. It's really challenging.
How many thousand you said?
About 300 per million of the population, so around 900 to 1,000 require renal care to the extent of dialysis. The public health system can only treat a fraction of that. The solution is certainly in trying to build more capacity, but more importantly, to address the causes of facilitating ailments like hypertension, diabetes, all related to lifestyle. And that's why the prevention thing is so important. I don't think we can stress that enough, because we're always going to be overwhelmed by the curative side if persons don't live in a particular way. So, but we did that, and we're doing a few things around outreach in communities to try and deal with that, the prevention side. And then the other thing I'd like to mention is that we are off to a good start on code care. We have done over 115 surgeries through private entities to date, which I'm very happy for. Most of them in the West, based on the 3 private hospitals. Yesterday, I signed contracts, or not me, but the institution signed contracts with 4 additional, is it 4? 5 additional private entities in this part. St. Andrew's Hospital, Winchester, Heart Institute, the University of the West Indies, and Medical Associates. And they will be given about a list of 300 patients who have been waiting 2 years or more for things like hernia and so on. And we're hoping to try and clear up that backlog until we get to the 2,000 or so over a year to bring that down. This message in that is that there is no public health without referencing health overall. And I think the public-private partnership approach is going to be fundamental to deal with some of the issues that we have to face. And as far as surgery backlog is concerned, the code care program is working. We have our first set of medical nurses, the operating theater nurses coming in under the code care program December 1st to 6th.
1st to 6th.
They're going to be in Hanover at Hopewell Hospital to help to clear up some of the backlog. And we've signed our MOUs with 2 health systems, University of Miami and Hartford. That's a more longer-term training, training of nurses to build more specialist nurses so that we have more in the system. So code care is going well, I think, based on what we have announced. And we're happy to just say that the public will benefit from this.
When you talk about elective surgeries, give me some examples of some of those that we have over 2,000 people are waiting.
All right, so we have the doctors here. Doc, you want to Dr. Horton, just list some of the surgeries, elective surgeries?
The elective surgeries are focused are like hernias, which is the most common one.
What is hernia, by the way?
Well, you have several types, but the most common one is where you have a swelling in the groin.
Yeah.
And as well, like, you know, if your belly button is swollen, that's also a hernia.
Oh.
So things like those are top on our list.
And an untreated hernia can lead to what?
It can lead to problems with the bowel obstruction, vomiting, pain, are the most thing. But other surgeries include like prostate, which we are working on, stoppage of water from prostate, and fibroids. Are also a big problem that we're focusing on.
I keep hearing, just a second on the fibroids, because this thing irks me a lot, you know, as a woman. When I learned a couple months ago that I think hysterectomy is one of the most heavily performed surgeries in Jamaica, usually because of the overgrowth of fibroids, I was absolutely shocked by that, Miss Ingram Martin, and perhaps because you're the only woman on the panel, you can help me. And then I hear that we have some genetic predisposition. But has anybody ever found out what is causing the trigger for the genetic predisposition to be activated and how we can turn off the trigger? Ms. Ingram Martin, do you know, or maybe maybe doctor, you first and then doctor, because you're a woman and it will impact you as it does me.
Right. So there are studies that are there, but this condition is really a very, very popular condition, as you speak about, in terms of fibroids. And for some persons, they are not really affected adversely, but for some, they really do have major challenges from, you know, and so there are different treatment that are there for these conditions. But you talk about the hysterectomy, that is really the complete removal of the womb. And also you have the myomectomy, where they will just go in and will just take out what the offending part, which is the fibroid, the growth that is there. So it is really something that needs further investigation, further research as to, you know, what are some of the triggers that are there.
Yes, we have to explore it another time. I'm very much interested with a round table with a number of people. Minister, you were trying to come in before we start taking the calls?
No, just saying that the elective surgeries that are backlogged up to about 7,000 after COVID, well, since COVID has tapered off a bit, are surgeries that we push back to deal with the emergency ones.
Yeah.
But it does cause severe pain and suffering. It does create challenges for work. For quality of life, and you know, it really is inhumane to have persons waiting 3 years, 4 years, sometimes even beyond, for a hernia to be dealt with. So we share the pain, and we thought that this program, using up spare capacity in the private space at below market rates, by the way, was a good way to deal with it. And I think the partnership is showing some results which we're very happy for the patient, for the Jamaican people.
Right. All right. 876-926-2178, 9268-631, 926-7615, and 1-888-991-2080. Let's see who we have online now. Shall we? Hi. I'm so sorry. DT will just vet the calls and let me know who is there so we can take the questions. You had any thought on the issue there, Dr. Horton, on the fibroids matter that affects women?
No, I think Chief Nurse Martin handled it very well, and I would reserve any further comments.
All right, let's see who we have online for the questions. Hello, hi, welcome to On the Pulse. Who am I talking with?
Good morning. Is this Millie?
Who is this?
My name is Junior.
Junior?
Yes, Junior indeed.
You have the minister now. Ask the minister your question, Junior Crooks.
Very well. Mr. Minister, good morning to you, sir.
Morning, sir.
Yes, one of the most important questions I'd like to ask you. See?
Yes.
You were trying to avoid any, people getting agitated over the
Victoria Jubilee dead babies.
In case you didn't want to cause any syrup and anxiety and that sort of thing. One of the things I'd like to ask you, were you in the position, say for example, your wife was in need to go to have a delivery, would you I would have loved to have the opportunity to have a choice as to whether you were to use that facility or the option of going to another facility under the circumstances. That's one.
Right.
Yes. Hold on. Let him answer that one, Junior Crooks.
Well, I know where you're going, sir, and I one has to be very careful how you take that approach, and I say so respectfully. First of all, the Victoria Jubilee Hospital provides a multiplicity of services, many different services. A particular challenge was in a particular area of the hospital. It was cauterized in that area. The persons affected were isolated from the rest of the population.
But that's not his question, though. His question is, if your wife was going there, would you? No. Answer the specific question, Minister, with respect.
No, but I'm going to Emily. But
you take the long run up.
The point is that the risk to additional capacity was minimized upon discovery of the problem. And then the point specific to the gentleman's question is that where we have 130% capacity at Spanish Town. We have over 100%.
No, Minister. No, Minister. With respect, that is a decision that you and your wife would need to make in the hypothetical situation that he's putting. That's not for you to answer, to say that. The point is that you would not have known because you as minister did not communicate. So he's asking, how have you deprived people of the option?
Right. I hear you. And I would say that one can debate that point. The reality is that you have very limited capacity for the overwhelming majority of Jamaicans. And so options around going from one place to the next don't exist for the majority of Jamaicans. The real challenge was how do you solve the problem, which we solved when you look back at the history, from the moment of discovering the issue. Now, again,
whose discovery? Is that your discovery or discovery by whom?
It couldn't be my discovery. Remember, I don't work at the institution in that capacity. It would have to be the discovery of the leading clinicians and administrators in the institution, and that discovery, once made and confirmed, was addressed clinically to a successful conclusion, and that was their priority, and it happened. It took place. I mean, the evidence is there to show. I understand the question. Let me not try to be insensitive to the caller's concern and those who share that concern. As I've said publicly, there are mixed views on the issue, and perhaps in the future we may have to choose to do it a different way. But at the time, my understanding is.
All right, let's leave it at that. Mr. Minister,
in a particular way.
With all due respect, hold on a minute. Mr. Emily?
Yes.
Mr. Emily, are you hearing me?
Yes, Mr. Crooks.
So as not to hog the program, and I'm sure a lot of other persons...
And we can't deal with no more hog today,
Let me know. But listen what I'm going to say, I'm just going to make my statement, and I'm going to say...
No, we don't want a statement here.
No. It's a question then. Okay, good. I just want to ask if the minister would agree with me or disagree with me. In light of that...
Clearly, sir.
He's asking a question. Sir. He hasn't asked a question yet, Minister.
Let me ask the question quickly. So therefore, Mr. Minister, wouldn't you think that you should pay to the public? You didn't consider this disease or bacteria, whatever, intense enough, at a certain degree enough, that you should isolate that whole baby part totally. That should be closed down.
Closed down?
Yes, man. Hold on a little. Because remember, there was a history with the fentanyl thing, you understand? But even not considering that, we are saying you don't consider it important enough that you should have just close or there's a totally nobody, zero, absolutely, until you solve that the problem before you get 16 hours. Because in case of that, don't you think the judgment come into question at that time?
No.
And the confidence in our ability.
All right. You were junior crooks for the first question. You're no longer junior crooks for the second. I have to go. Let me take a break and then the minister will answer that question. Thank you. Minister, so he's asking if you shouldn't have locked down the whole maternity section.
We'd probably solve a problem by creating zero risk, but we'd have another problem that would create significant risk, because we had the demands on the system would have meant putting people out on the street. That's just the absolute reality of the situation that we face on a daily basis, by the way. But while I understand the caller's desire for absolutely risk-free space, that comes with consequences in that we would have placed many other mothers and their children at risk by saying that we have no room in the institution and they would have no alternative but to go outside on the street. That's it. Okay, thanks.
Let's see who else we have. This is On the Pulse. Who do we have there now? Hello, morning. Welcome to On the Pulse.
Good morning.
Hi, morning. Who do I have here?
This is MC.
Welcome, MC. Go ahead.
Good morning, Mr. Minister and your team.
Morning. How are you?
Yes, I'm giving thanks. Well, not so up there, and I need to probably get near to one of your facilities soon. My question is a follow-up to the last time I spoke to you, week before last week. I asked you a question as it relates to the same situation at the Jubilee Hospital. The facility to train those nurses has been closed since a year now. I got to understand that. I heard it on the news. About a year now. You were to answer the question. You say you would find out. Why was it closed? And because I heard also on the news that the nurses were 13-1. So if that they are so critical to have those nurses, why did why was it closed? You were to answer that question and what it is that you are going to do to put that back in place. And I have another question after that, but I'll wait until you answer.
No, quick. What's the facility you ask about again, MC?
There's a facility you train those nurses.
Training nurses.
The same unit for the dead babies, specialist nurses, and it was closed within in 1 year now.
Yeah.
That's what I heard on RJR. It was closed 1 year now, so I want to find out. I asked you that question and you didn't give me the answer. So I would find out why was it closed and what did you have in place to how did you plan to deal with the shortage of nurses having closed the facility.
All right, I have the chief nurse here with me, and I'm going to ask her to respond. My understanding is that the training has not been suspended, but that particular location was condemned because of the state of the building, and it was transferred to another location. But there are other reasons why we can't train more. But chief nurse, you want to just indicate what actually transpired?
Thank you, Minister. And so the in-service education unit is the unit that trains post-basic nurses in the Ministry of Health. The general nurses training is done at the universities, but the post-basic is the one that is done under the Ministry of Health, and the facility where that is done right now, as Minister said, it is condemned, it is closed, that the physical plant is closed and is being renovated. However, the school has been relocated to 50 Halfway Tree Road, and that is a building where the Kingston School of Nursing is. And so that the in-service unit is there, and they continue the training. At the time, the training programs that were going were relocated to that new area. Now, as it relates to some of the programs not being offered, it is because we do not have educators to offer the program. But as Minister had said earlier, we are in discussions with other entities abroad to see how we could get some educators, some faculty members and so we can continue training.
So part of the bottleneck, Emily and Carla, and I thank you for the question, and sorry it wasn't cleared up last week, is that we are restricted to training more nurses and specialist nurses in particular based on two critical points. One, the absence of faculty. We do not have enough trainers on the island. It's a real challenge, but there's a shortage, and that shortage is actually globally, which is why we're collaborating with health systems overseas to try and benefit from a training of trainers, but also an exchange of faculty. The other bottleneck is called rotation.
Hold on a second.
If we're training an ICU nurse, part of the training is for that ICU nurse to spend time around an ICU bed with an ICU patient. They can't just do it in a classroom. If you only have 50 ICU beds, you may have two per bed or something like that. You can't do more because you don't get the qualification that they based on the standards.
Yes.
So the clinical rotation limits the number you can train, which again is why we need the collaboration where we can send some of those nurses to hospitals overseas, as we did in a pilot, send them to England, the Leeds Teaching Hospital, and expand the cadre that we can train. So those are limitations that it's not as easy as saying train more, which many persons think. Thank you.
Yes, MC. Yes, MC.
Okay, I believe that is one of the reasons, because it seems like probably the timing as it relates to getting them into the facility and getting them to train at another place and shortage of educators, that to me seem to be a problem that would have caused the pileup for one nurse going to 13 patients. That, well, just working that out of my head. No data as you would have had it, Mr. Minister. Yes, I know it will be easy for you to explain. But I also have a suggestion, because that seemed like it was not structured properly, and that could have caused that problem. My suggestion to you also, Mr. Minister, I know you're very good at marketing, and I would suggest that you put information out there as it relates to the accident on the road, because all of these correlate. They're going to come right back to the Ministry of Health, so that you have to take care of them. So the accident on the road, that you would partner with them to say how you take care of driving on the road, and with the Minister of Security, I would love to see a connection there where you start putting out information so as to how people to curb the indiscipline, work with them. I'm not saying you have to do it, but there needs to be a partnership to say that, if this happens, this is the ripple effect.
Thank you, MC. Thank you for the call. Go ahead, Minister. Yes.
I sound like I need that caller in my office as my advisor, because these are very practical, worthwhile solutions. But it's going to be more than marketing. It's an enforcement issue. It's a cultural issue, and it involves multiple agencies. But the reality from a public health standpoint is that trauma, whether it is trauma through domestic violence, road accidents, or otherwise, occupies in a hospital setting sometimes 30-40%. A patient that has a bike head injury from a bike accident in Westmoreland, where the other day I visited, and 80% of the ward were bike accidents, the male surgical ward, can spend six hours in an accident, an emergency, being in operating theater time, and it literally shuts down the capacity because of the person riding without a helmet, riding under the influence. And I think she's right.
Yeah.
The country has to come to terms with the fact that these actions have consequences.
Yeah.
And it shuts out the electives that we are now backlogged with, because we can't put people in there to do a hernia if people have head injuries and are likely to die if they are not dealt with immediately.
Right.
And it's a real challenge that we face. So thank the caller for that, and hopefully Jamaicans are listening and will behave more responsible.
Diane, my next caller. Hi, morning, welcome. Hi, Diane.
Good morning.
Morning, welcome. What's your question for the Minister?
Okay, my question for the Minister is that at the Children's Hospital in Jamaica, if a child is sick and at the hospital and the mother has to go to work and required a note stating that the baby is admitted in the hospital and I need that letter to take to work so that I can have a job, I don't understand why they refuse to give us a note on that.
They who? Which facility?
The Children's Hospital in Kingston. I'm talking of experience that I'm going through right now. My daughter baby has been admitted on the 30th of October and got discharged on the 9th. And my daughter just started a job a month ago, but the workplace requires a letter stating that the baby was in the hospital for her to resume back to work. And they're giving us runaround about a simple little note.
What they say runaround? What you mean? What are they saying?
Okay, I called on Sunday.
No, don't give me the history. Just tell me what they said, because we're up on time. What they said.
They can't give it to me like that. I have to wait on the doctor to come and give me the letter. So I said, okay, that's fine. When I sent her back there to get it, they're telling me that the doctor is gone and she didn't get to tell the doctor to give me the note. I called back this morning again and it's the same thing again. And she needs to go back to work to take care of the child.
Well,
hold on, Diane. Leave a number. The minister will respond. Leave a number so that he can get in touch with you if anything. But respond for the public,
okay,
Minister.
I live overseas in Canada, but I can give you my husband's number in Jamaica as well.
Yes, all right.
My Canadian number is
hold on. We don't want anybody to call you in Canada. Hold on, Diane. Yes, Minister, respond for the public.
All right, no, well, firstly, we will follow up on that case, but just bear in mind a couple of things. Firstly, if I understand the caller correctly, she's saying that she needs a note to say that she has to stay home to take care of the child. The doctor is likely to give a note on the status of the child, but the doctor can't pronounce on whether or not the parent or guardian should skip work, because I mean, that would be in another kind of realm. So that note should be possible if a child is ill and the parent requests a note from the doctor. Should be forthcoming. So we can check on the specifics of that, but the note will speak to the child, not to the parents' right or permission to stop from work.
Right. I don't think I can take another call because of the time, but somebody's asking, when will you start building the children's hospital? When will they start building the children's hospital in Mobi?
Well, if you take a flyover or a visit, you will see that they are probably completed the first floor. There are about 3 cranes there, and it's in full throttle, being built and going very fast. So that's a positive response to that call. It is in full throttle. The construction has commenced.
All right, that's all the time we have. We'll be in touch with your minister to see what time you can come back with me for more questions on the Victoria Jubilee. All right, thank you. Thank you and your team.
And all the best.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Dr. Chris Tufton, Health and Wellness Minister, Dr. Eduardo Horton, Director Special Projects. Thank you as well to Mrs. Patricia Ingram Martin, Chief Nursing Officer, Mr. Andre Wilshire, Director, Program Coordinator, Planning and Strategic Initiative. That's On the Pulse with Public Health on the Hotline. Headlines time. 1 tree, 1 tree, 1 tree, 1 tree, 1 tree. This is the Hotline. We're back with you listeners on the hotline. You know that? Roger that?
Yeah, I wonder if you start running taxi now.
1 tree. Roger that. Roger that. You remember those days?
I think they still do it.
Yeah?
Yeah, man.
Where you call in there and say,
They have to shoot down at work.
Yeah. So can I get a taxi to halfway tree, please? 1 tree, 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 what? And 1 tree now stop.
Nah, stop.
Whoever 1 tree is, pick up yourself. I rate me again, you know. Right. Let me have a quick call. And then... Yes.
Yes, I have been holding for 32 minutes now, but no problem.
32. 32.
I have the credit to hold.
Wait, this is John?
Yes, it is, Mr. Chief.
You're holding for 32 minutes or you're holding for 32 billion?
No, I was holding for 32 minutes because I called and Mr. Tufton was on. But I was at the end of the line. But no problem. I want to talk about 3 quick things, Mr. Chief.
Yes.
In March of this year, Mark Golden and Julian Robinson made a suggestion during the budget presentation that the government spend $40 billion more to cushion the crisis of the hardship that Jamaican people are facing.
Yes.
That is still facing. People find all kinds of reasons why it can't happen. The dollar going, our budget going mash up, our debt payment going mash up. We're going to become like Sri Lanka. The Prime Minister said it. So we're going to become like Sri Lanka. The Mark Golden continued to repeat it. They outline certain things that could happen so that money could be raised. They said that the government was going to get $65 billion, $65 billion windfall of taxes that weren't budgeted for. They also said that government was going to collect $99 billion more in taxes this year. They find all reasons why it can't work. Lo and behold, last week or since the president's visit went to Parliament, the government is going to spend $60 billion more. Bang, 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 by the them. In outline again, inside now, the government has got a win for extra $65 billion. The same thing. What Julian Robinson and Mark going to say in March. I tell you what now.
Let me tell you something. Listening and understanding are clearly in short supply.
Mr. Shields, you can't see what you want to say.
No, hold on a second. Hold on, because I have the clip. You want to remind yourself what Mark Golding said?
Mr. Shields?
Hold on a second. Hold on. Two things. Mark Golding wanted, at the time, he said the paltry sum of, how much billion was it? 2 billion or something that the government spent on particularly social spending, giving back to the most vulnerable. He was asking for that to be taken up to $40 billion. Hold on a second. Hold on. He wanted that plank alone to move from 0.1% of GDP
to 2%.
To 2% of GDP.
Yes.
On a forecast that the government would get $99 billion in this fiscal year in additional revenue. Hold on a second. No, hold on, John. 99 billion was his forecast. You know what the actual, at the time, the government's forecast was much lower than Mark Golding's. It now turns out that with 6 months out of the fiscal year ending September, the government's forecast was $35 billion less than the actual turnout. The government, based on the first half performance of the tax revenue, now forecast that they will collect $65 billion in tax revenue, which is $34 billion less than Mark Golding's 90. Hold on a second. Hold on. It is $34 billion less than Mark Golding's forecast.
Mr. Shields, look at now.
No.
Mr. Shields, Mark Golding's forecast was for the financial year, the 99 billion.
But hold on. No. Before you talk, don't miss my point. No. Don't miss my point. I agree. No. Hold on, John. John, hold on. I agree with you that Mark Golding's forecast was for the entire fiscal year.
Okay.
But I'm saying to you that the government, in light of the performance over 6 months, has now said they believe that their revenue forecast will move by 65 billion for the year, which when compared to Mark Golding's forecast is $34 billion out.
Mr. Steve, listen now. How on earth now then the government can put in $60 more billion in that budget?
Can I explain that? No, nothing is wrong. Nothing is... John, let me explain it. John, the $60 billion spend has come because from April to September, the revenue performance has been $35 billion more than they forecast. Hold on. And they actually have the $35 billion in the kitty because of the overperformance.
That shows me the that Mark Golden and Julian Robinson had done the maths and see where the government could have done the thing from.
But that is so stupid. No, that is so stupid. You know why it's stupid? You know why what you're saying is stupid?
You can say what you want to say.
Yes,
people don't believe that.
No, that's fine. The people are free to believe. This is my opinion. They don't need to accept it.
No, your opinion is not facts.
But opinion are never facts.
But you don't bring the crowd as facts in the sheet. What has happened with the sheet is that there's an impending local government election coming up.
Who cares about local government election?
No. People care about it. People care about it.
That are uno rabid tribalists.
No, the government, because it's just fun now to try to say, well, yes, them can bribe the people and the policy is starve them, then bribe them, but it won't work.
Oh, okay. Well, good for you. Look here. No, hold on a second. I have to rejoin the health minister because I have some questions on Victoria Jubilee. I need to hear from him. Yes? And I have another feature. I want to come back. Dr. Tufton, thank you so much for rejoining me.
Hi, Emily. Against my better judgment, but I believe in transparency. So
yes, sorry. Yes, I know you've talked about this so many times, but I've been out and missed it, and I trust my colleagues did a lot, but because even when I listen to, what has happened, there's still these gray areas in my head about the death of the babies. So I've been made to understand that there was this infection outbreak in July. And that 7 babies died from one bacteria and 2 from another bacteria.
No, I wasn't. Well, again, I'm not the clinician, but the report I have is that 7 died in July, 2 in August, 2 in September, and that was it. None in October.
Okay.
There was a suspicion in October, but it was confirmed not to be the case.
Okay. And, all right, 7 in July. And you said you were told about the July outbreak and death. When?
In the latter part of August, somewhere thereabout. I don't know the exact date, but yeah.
Is there any particular reason why you were only told in August?
Well, two things I suspect. One is that I was on vacation for a period in August. I was out of the country. I'd gone to a stroke conference in Brazil, and that took up the better part of a week. That's about after the first week. And then I went off for another 12 days. So it suffices to say that most of August I was out, including holidays. Clearly there's a system that operates in my absence. So that's one reason, that's one possible reason. The other is that normally how this system works is that you have an outlier event. I mean, these things happen fairly frequently, and there is an expected ratio or probability that they will happen that are considered normal, even though we regret them. When it's an outlier event based on the statistics, more than average, beyond a certain point, it triggers an investigation at the level of the institution. So the SMO, Senior Medical Officer, would be called in with the rather clinical team. They'll assess, they'll collect samples to validate, to know what the problem is. That takes time. Then, if necessary, the regional authority, in this instance, Sarah.
Was Sarah informed?
Yes. Well, I'm explaining the process. So you'll go from the institution to the region, where the regional technical director, the lead clinician, will be called in. And then from there, based on her assessment, the chief medical officer's office at the ministry, which would be then Bisesa McKenzie, would be notified. So it goes through a process including lab tests and all of that. So it's quite reasonable that it could take a few weeks or more to get back results to confirm and then to determine the problem and whether it needs to be elevated.
Right. So by the time it got to you, This was what? Close to the end? What part of August we're talking?
The end of August, maybe early September, but I got back the latter part, the end of August.
And by the time it came to you, the 2 babies that died in August, they died already?
I'd have to check. But suffice it to say, when I had the conversation with the team, the matter was, in my judgment anyway, and in the opinion of the clinicians, was sufficiently cauterized. So what they would normally do is to determine the problem and try to cauterize it. And that would mean, in real terms, isolation of the affected individuals, so the babies or mothers or both, be taken out of the main space so they don't cross-contaminate others. Then they work on the space, so that if the infection is on a surface or, cleaning, whatever, deep cleaning, that sort of thing, so that they try to minimize disruption in the normal flow of activity as best as possible, because bear in mind, you don't have a lot of options in terms of neonatal intensive care unit. It's a small area in a much larger entity providing a range of services. So the issue is really to cauterize and to totally address. So by then, there was an opinion that they had identified the problem, and the problem was being addressed in terms of what I've just said. But at the time, I still said, listen, let's look at getting an additional perspective, which is why PAHO was called in.
And the PAHO rep, where is that rep based?
I don't know.
It's out of Jamaica?
When I gave the instructions, they came in from abroad.
And is it normal for such a high, an order to be made for such a high intervention such as Pan American Health Organization without you, the line minister, advising?
No, I was the one who requested it.
Yes. Is it normal for you to make such a request for intervention from PAHO into Jamaica without you telling your prime minister about it?
Right. So that as I've said publicly, and I've written it, it was carried in one of the print media, that one of the regrets I have is that I should have advised, and I normally do, the prime minister on these issues, even if it's just to send him a note. Clearly, cabinet is an appropriate place. I had intention, as I did later on, to do a cabinet position that would explain all the issues, but I actually was waiting on at least a verbal opinion from the PAHO people when I said let them come in and also let them look at other institutions. So the issue was not whether or not I would have said something. The issue was the timing of it, and I've been criticized, and rightfully so, for not advising earlier. But tell me, circumstances of my absence during the month of August may have played a role there.
But this is a situation. If when you receive the news from the team that 7 babies died in July, 2 in August, and we believe we've cauterized it, but you said out of an abundance of caution, I'm calling in PAHO. Can you recall what was operating in your mind? Why, with a cauterized situation, you didn't even send a note to the prime minister? Yeah. What was operating in your mind then? What was your fear?
No fear whatsoever. If you're, I have a hunch of where you're going, but there was no fear. Let me say this, Emily. This portfolio has many challenges on a daily basis, as I'm sure others do too. But health has been particularly challenging, as you know. There is a crisis around almost every corner. And I can only explain it by saying it may have just come down to my attention to another crisis. Not all are pronounced on publicly unless we think, it needs to be. But it can only come down to the fact that maybe I became distracted with other things and felt comfortable enough that the situation was being dealt with. I remember too, the Prime Minister is a lot more burdened than myself, even his own responsibilities. So I don't go to the Prime Minister with every issue that I think are concerning. He appoints me to do a job and I do it. But not to excuse away not advising him. But the truth is, I normally would when I think there is an issue that potentially represents a threat and a continuous threat. So while I do agree with you that he should have been, there was no ulterior motive, and certainly I wasn't trying to hide anything, and I did intend to take the matter to cabinet eventually.
Do you now regret, one, not advising the Prime Minister, and most importantly, two...
I've said so.
Two, not advising the people of Jamaica?
No, the people of Jamaica is a slightly different scenario, and I've said that publicly also. I've explained that when the matter was briefed, when I was briefed, the matter was under control. The risk that many claim existed, in my judgment and in the opinion of the clinician, was being addressed, to my mind, adequately. It was cauterized, people were isolated, and the options open to the use of the facility, in this instance, a neonatal intensive care unit, and the spillover of the potential of fear and hysteria around the institution that offers a multiplicity of services. It really was an attempt at balancing all the risks involved. I did not, in my judgment, based on information from the clinicians, felt at the time that others going into the institution were at risk based on what was done over the course of the end of July into the end of August. And, I can be criticized for it, and I have been.
Yes.
And that's fair. That's fair.
Because the English language is so nuanced.
On that. Sorry?
The English language is so nuanced that the way you're explaining it to me now, I can see, especially with the practice you've had from the COVID conversations, I can see you laying out, particularly with the preliminary PAHO report that you had, laying out the sequence and saying to the people, there's no need to fear going to Victoria Jubilee because what happened in July was significantly mitigated by August and come down to September now, which is when you would be talking at least. See, the proof of the mitigation is that the deaths in September are now equivalent to August. So, again, how could you not do that?
Well, I think I've said it already. That is, there are different opinions on that, and I've given my view as to what my rationale was. We just have to agree to disagree, and I respect your opinion, and I respect those who share an alternative view.
Was there a fear of being fired, as Fenton Ferguson was?
Emily, let me say this. This issue about firing has become a recurring rhetoric, particularly by sections of the sort of political elite, if you want to call it that. And that's fine. I mean, and the comparison, though, I think has to be weighed in the balance in a very careful way, because oftentimes context is ignored, and all that is seen are the decisions taken. I don't want to get too much into it because, to be totally frank with you, I empathize with the minister at the time and the challenges he faced. I'm there now and I understand the issues. I've been there very long to understand them. But I at the risk of courting controversy and more of it, I'd prefer not to, because there are so many things that need to be done otherwise. The circumstances can be explained in a very different context. And I don't want to get into the politics of it, because it has become a political football, unfortunately, and I think that's not the right approach. But I take the point that some persons have, that the public should be informed. I accept the point that the Prime Minister should be informed earlier. But as I've said, the issue was about managing risk, and that's what I attempted to do. And most importantly, when the problem was discovered, it was fixed.
Last question. Any deaths in October?
No. There was one suspected, which was originally reported.
Yeah.
But the confirmatory lab test, I am told, concluded otherwise.
And nothing so far for November?
No, nothing. I have not been advised. Nothing. I've not been advised of anything.
All right.
And a lot of follow-up action were taken in terms of the initial reports. And the verbal report from PAHO correlates very strongly with what the local team surmised, assessed, and concluded on. And so the follow-up I think was valuable and effective.
And you will make the PAHO report public so soon as you have it?
Well, we can talk about it and discuss the elements of it. I have no problem with that.
Thank you, Minister. All the best to you. Health and Wellness Minister, Dr. Chris Tufton, when we come back inside banking with NCB. Good afternoon, listeners. We're back with you on the hotline. Time now for X and Y. Why, Pre?
You want him?
Huh. When I say him, you him?
Huh.
Him?
Huh.
Him? Hemming? Hemming? Hawing.
Yawning.
Don't let us start doing that. Do you know you literally, I want to yawn. You know, if you say that word, you'll really want to do the action.
Yes, it's catching. But it happens all the way. If you see somebody, you know, you start to man, yes.
And then the worst thing when somebody break up your yarn, you know. Your yarn and stop it. Fight out the yarn.
I know this gentleman, well, he's always blocking the yarn. So I think it might have been his wife was yarning. So him cross him hand and put it up in front of him face.
How to block it?
One, he's blocking the yarn according to him, and two, him no want her take her in. No want her take him in.
I know. Some people when they yawn, it's so massive.
Yes.
Yeah.
But this hem a real word, don't?
Hemming and hawing?
Let's
just see.
Hem or ha. You're like undecided. You're right. But I think in my time, my grandmother said you do a dilly-dally. Just a spin so. in the house a dilly-dally.
This a Google said the term hem and haw first appeared in the 1630s. The hem is an imitative word of a throat clearing. And the word haw.
Oh, you get him this.
Don't know.
Hem. Oh, that way.
And the word haw is related to the term haw haw, which references a haughty British accent.
Oh.
Maybe like from haw ploy. What?
Hem or ha? Yeah, nobody stay there and hem or ha. Just do what you have to do.
When we step up in the place, no mistake, correct. Hoo-ha, hoo-ha. You remember that tune, Busta Rhymes?
Yeah.
Hoo-ha, hoo-ha.
And I don't play Busta.
No, Busta. Busta take the 10 cents.
Yeah, me play this one.
Alright, hold the poor. Hush your mouth, my me brethren here. Sell I a pound of that thing.
Alright. So, nobody say pork. Hush your mouth, my brethren here.
Sell I a pound of that thing there.
Just give me a piece of that. Just sell me a piece of that. But interestingly, the man say me eat half a bread. And whatever the bakery is.
No, you have some bakery where if the bread nice, you know, you can't stop eat it.
Alright, in the earlier days they had what they call 2 shilling bread. And 2 shilling bread was about 4 pounds of bread. Massive bread.
The whole bread was 4 pounds?
4 pounds. Heavy. Yes.
Nice hard dough bread.
So if him if walking shop eat half of that bread, it's like him eating a whole bread.
If you all guys have and buy a Hammond's bread, hot bread, you start breaking that bread. Whereas if you have some butter, you never reach a Hendon corner good before you done. Or in fact, if you go to Captain's Bakery, when you get the hot bread there, and that bread is heavy too.
Well, they have some very heavy bread.
Yeah.
Like the old time 2 shilling bread.
Yeah.
I did tell you the story about a gentleman and his wife in relation to the 2 shilling bread. You remember the story?
Mm-mm.
If the listeners remember, he was a lover of bread.
Mm-hmm.
And they had the Bankra basket that was made from thatch hung in the roof.
Bankra basket?
Yeah, yes. And so that's what they used to call it, the Bankra.
Mm-hmm.
And the bread was in there, hanging from the top of the roof with wire down to prevent the rat from getting it. Of course, the rat could have crawled down nevertheless. But then, in this case, he decided while his wife was sleeping to go and break the bread. You remember? And so every time he took piece of the bread, he would say, all right, ma, rat in the basket. And then ma would say, run him out, Tansy. And every time him do it, him say the same thing, ma, rat in the basket. Run him out, Tansy. And him keep doing that until the bread
Run him out what?
Run him out, him named Tansy.
Oh, I was
Tansy.
All right, I was wondering if the person named Tansy or she said run him out Tansy.
No, the man named
Run him out Tansy.
Tansy. So she said, run him out Tansy, and he kept doing that until the bread was finished. The whole 2 shilling bread, 4 pound of bread.
What a rat must have fat, you know. Fat like a cut puss.
So, when him done run up, he finished the bread now. Don't eat after him say, well.
Who like to vat a crib out?
No, him say, well, I run him out several times and then I run him out again.
Give me it. It's all done.
Bread finished.
What my brother used to do, Tracy, he used to take the bread out of the bag, that hard-dough bread, and would cut a couple slices from the middle, butter the bread and put it back together.
Hold on.
Butter the big size, put it back together so it doesn't look like it's ever cut. So mom would think it's a whole bread there.
It's hollow.
Until she's ready to do the breakfast, then
my whole night bread
when
inside.
she started to slice now, she realized, voila! Take out 2 slices out of the bread and gone with it. And you can't know. So it's not only one name, Patansi.
No, so he never dug out the middle part.
No.
He just cut out 2 slices from the middle.
Yeah, just cut out 2 slices and fit it back together so with butter. So you really wouldn't know unless you are...
Why I never use glue?
Well... I think we had a bit of too much crazy down there. We couldn't manage any other crazy glue. No. It's fascinating. No, there's some nice... And then there used to be another round bread that my mom used to buy. We used to call it grotto. It's like a round... And there's one that they call the record, which was in the shape of record.
I know, the grotto bread.
You know grotto?
Yes.
It was a proper name of a bread?
Yeah, they had it. I don't know if it was a proper name. They just call it that, like they would call peg bread.
Yeah.
They had these little round ones that were more like
dinner rolls. But I mean, honestly, the taste of the bread is so good. So me can understand how walking shop can't eat half a bread.
Half a bread with 3 pound of pork.
But I have a feeling no matter how the bread tastes, walking shop would eat half a bread. You know? Nice or no nice?
You don't want no rat bait.
No Patansi. No Patansi.
Here's a joke that I picked up this morning from Shazad's mom's profile, display. I think it's status, There was this man and a woman traveling on a train. So the man liked the woman and started smiling away. So the woman turned to the man and said, "Why? Every time you smile, it make me want to invite you to my place."
What kind of place is that?
Hold on, so feel good now and say,
Oh, she work at a dentist?
Are you single? She said, no. I'm a dentist. You see?
Can you imagine?
Teeth were clean.
Oh, God.
Poor man was so flat.
No. So the woman says she's a dentist?
Yes. So after the woman said, well, I feel like I'd invite you to my place. The man said, are you single?
Yeah.
Like mother said,
yeah.
Wow, are you single?
Yeah.
The woman said, no, I'm a dentist. Come on my place, let me clean your teeth them for you.
They want clean. Okay. I thought you said teeth are clean, as in his teeth were clean. Because I got the opposite impression.
No, man. Teeth them dirty, so you want to clean them for him. She wants to clean them for him. Yeah.
I saw a joke that I didn't know of before either, that apparently dentists don't set appointments for 2:30.
They don't? 2:30. Let me see if we can figure out why the dentist wouldn't set appointment
apparently
for 2:30.
They never set that.
For 2:30.
Yeah.
They said for 2:32.
They'd set it for anything, any other time but 2:30. 2:30. Say it fast. Say it fast and see what it sounds like.
2:30.
Yes. Say it again.
2:30.
What it hurt like? What it sound like?
2:30.
Yeah, but what it sound like in relation to dentist?
2:30.
Not too bad. Anything else? 2:30.
Oh, 2:30.
Yeah. 2:30. So if you get a dental appointment for 2:30, it may very well be that your tooth will end up being
hurting.
I didn't know that it's a universal dentist joke, apparently. So they'll always give you 2:35, but never 2:30.
No, you're going to have to buy the rum for that one.
Is it? Oh, God. What kind of rum are you drinking now? What kind of rum with that one?
No, you have to go drink the one with the alcohol, the rum in the alcohol. You have to drink the rum with the alcohol.
Oh, Jesus. Looks like you have to go back around.
No, but you remember me to tell you the joke after the man.
Rum in the alcohol?
Yeah, the man said, "Boy, why you throw the rum in it?" After the lady threw the water in the man's rum to help him out. Why you throw more rum in my alcohol?
All right. Well, that is the man you were channeling. Right. And Arlene is telling me the best bread on the market is Coronation bread from Port. I've heard about it. I may have tasted it actually, so I think it's quite good. But anyway, if you think you would like us to decide on the best bread, you know what to do. As a matter of fact, now where's my calories per bread? No, do that.
But don't you like bread and milk?
No, I used to.
Oh.
Grow it out. when I was a child, I act like a child. Now that I'm a woman, I put away all childish. That's X&Y. Thank you, listeners. We're back with you on the hotline. I'll tell you something. I don't know how this generation gonna manage to navigate this world, because all of the little mistakes that children are making as part of being children and growing up, those mistakes are being magnified nationally and internationally by social media. Them not getting any second chance to make things that children make, which are mistakes. It's quite sad, really. There's a video for everything. I don't know how they're going to manage. But anytime I'm ready for return to Telegram and analog and black and white TV and all them something there, dial me up. I'm tired of this, This is the hotline. 926-7615. Hello?
It's Crooks.
Oh, yeah.
Close that door, please. Yesterday, I was fortunate to hear the last caller.
Yesterday?
Yes, I was fortunate to hear it. But me must stay back at the line.
All right, that's Bill.
Well, I want to tell him something.
Yes.
That's only becoming a really in another bank. The why me no fight against making no get the land. That's a one. And he must be very careful because he must run for his life. Comrade is behind him with a knife. Run. He never hear about me yet.
I mean, no. All your cousin you chop off of me.
He must never hear about me out there.
Him hear him, I warn you.
He must run for his life.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
What is this? Bill? Did you hear that, Bill?
It better hear.
It is not this.
So, the judge, I saw it in the paper earlier this week. The judge was very shocked to learn that the baby father kicked his child's mother in the face. I think it was Judge Montague. Was very shocked. But when I read the article, I said, but this judge, I better be careful. Mine and Marie Vaz begs with her. And the one down at Trelawney.
Tova. Why?
You know, they turned independent last week for a brief moment.
Yeah, they were given permission to sit in a seat other than their own.
I don't know if they were given permission or they just turning independent for a short while.
Yes.
But all of the ladies who were out there complaining about stop the violence against women, when the next election, then can go campaign against them, put one independent woman in there that have been abused. Put one in a 2-over seat and one over Miss Vaz. Coming out because if you come vote for PNP, then can put independent. And make them sit over there and run against.
I don't understand what that move was about.
Mrs. Vaz. Miss Crooks, you missing not understand what it was about. It was always like that.
No, that's not the issue. I know it was, as far as I'm concerned, George Wright is not an opposition member.
Mm-hmm.
Because he says he's resigned from the JLP.
Yes.
But he's indicated and voted on every bill, as far as I see in the parliament, on every major policy issue. He's voted with the government.
JLP, yes.
So he's not properly seated. So we get that part. But what I don't understand is what were they trying to signal when they went over to sit?
What they were trying to signal?
Yeah.
That they support the man.
Support in what? In what?
They support the man on the tape beating the lady with the stool.
No, because forget the man in, listen, the problem is that I don't know who the man in the tape is.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I don't know who, but they support the man on the tape beating the lady with the stool.
No, but the person they were supporting was the man in parliament.
Oh, I see.
So I cannot put it so far back to that, even though we know whatever. So what were they trying to send? The man on the tape and the man in parliament may very well be one and the same person, but the tape was so obscure that one cannot be absolutely certain, even though it's sort of a bit of a sophistry and a stretch in light of what the police have said. But we don't need to stretch it too far. Me just want to know what them did I try show in light of public discourse.
That's what I'm saying. You know what they were trying. If it is that they support the man on the tape beating the lady with the stool.
But they couldn't be supporting that because the man in parliament was not beating anybody with stool when the man was speaking in parliament.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
I don't know.
Miss Crooks.
Who they keep come in a room there when you tell Bill for run for him live?
No, I asked, he got a call from me asking to leave my office.
Yes, but he come back. No, when come back for?
No, man, I lock the door and gone.
Oh? Key man lock the door.
No, I have the key.
Key man lock the door.
No.
Key man lock the door and gone. Run for your life. Run for your life.
Miss Crooks. Next week Sunday.
Oh yeah.
Next week Sunday.
What is the door you lock so every minute?
Do we now open back my door? Good. As me have to go run for your life. Good.
Dwayne? Let me talk to Dwayne then. When you come in a room with me, I understand where Dwayne come in a room with you.
Hello.
Dwayne?
Hi, how are you doing?
Not too bad at all. What is it that why you're coming in the room every minute with Comrade for?
You know, I forgot something, but I deeply apologize.
You know he's on the radio with me and this is my time?
Oh, no, I didn't even realize.
You are on the public radio right now, you know.
It's good. I'm not saying anything indecent.
Are you in the habit of saying indecent things?
Not at all.
Oh, well.
It's in my nature.
It's not in your nature?
Not in my nature.
I shall not ask you anything of what is in your nature. Thank you for talking with me.
Am I PNP and Miss Crooks?
But you only PNP there on you.
It's not in our nature.
To do
Miss
what?
Crooks, next week, Sunday.
No, it's not in your nature to do what?
To talk anything indecent.
Then how did have a song where the song name when did put Dr. Phillips pan?
What?
What the girl name? Lord of mercy.
Then Miss Crooks are really going to decide. Then it was on government badness and you only
No, me I talk about you talk about indecent something. Me talk. What the song name?
Nobody no what no song man.
Aishana. You know remember when them do Dr. Phillips pan Aishana name
The only one me could I remember government badness and you is brand new Clark's pamphlet and Barretta Panches. And now him cause entertainers say them they cause crime in Jamaica. Them the lyrics them.
Can't hold it with a ball out. You remember when Dr. Phillips go on?
You're lucky you know it. I know it.
You remember that, Comrade?
No, honestly I don't know. You know they have to apologize. They never know them just whatever they did. They ended up in the program.
When Missy Dr. Phillips said the dog with Dr. Can't hold it with a ball out.
And you know remember G City gang. You know G City. You know bro God, you know G City.
But don't do anything indecent after all.
You know G City.
You're lucky I never spice the dub them pull with Dr. Phillips. Anyway.
After spice make you Governor General have to take off in glasses.
When?
Anyhow.
When?
Anyhow.
When was that?
Next week Sunday. Ask Babsy. Next week Sunday. I want to see Keith Duncan at the JLP conference. I want him stand up in there when the Prime Minister
who is
crime.
You mean KD Knight?
Keith Duncan. DK Duncan.
Keith Duncan Knight?
Yes. No.
Oh, you don't want KD Duncan King song?
No, Keith Duncan.
Yes.
I know Keith Duncan. Keith Desmond St. Arby Knight, him name.
Is Keith Desmond?
Yeah, Keith Desmond St. Arby Knight.
So
Keith Duncan.
Yes.
Keith Duncan is the PSOJ. Keith Duncan is the PSOJ.
All right, President. Okay.
I want to see him turn up in the meeting next week when they might present the crime plan. Making insist that it is that the PNP is not working with him, with the government. It is their crime plan. It is the GLP crime plan. As I tell you, them have to solve the crime because I told you years ago that a lot of them who are creating the problem in Jamaica today are children of the corn.
Ah, Jesus.
They are children of the green
them say,
corn.
I know Aisha and Dovey Magnum. It's true, it's Dovey. Poor me.
No.
Ah, Jesus. Them say me having a whole heap of anti-down moments these days.
So,
what you say now?
They are calling for
Dovey.
consensus. And he's saying that the opposition should work with the government. When the government are presenting crime plan next week at the Labour Right Conference,
you want the president of the PSOJ to be there?
Make sure him turn up in there.
Rubbish.
Why
he needs to be there?
He is calling every day for the opposition and the government to meet, and we are saying meet with us. I want the fenke meeting Chang have with me, but it's 5 days into the new year, and from when we don't have no money. That if the crime figures they not share with, they not share nothing at all with opposition, and he's out there bawling every day and him not to say the government now work with we till them okay crime plan go deliver at them Labour Right Conference. So it's a JLP crime plan, not Jamaica's crime plan. JLP crime plan. I want him to stand up in there next week when they are presented. Make me see him.
When is the JLP conference?
No, the 20th.
Koya, what are we know this a date here?
Yeah, because I know, so I guess so that's why the free money then start to run.
The
because
20th?
the money we went grant for the debushing. in April and May, the grass never bush. I mean, they ask about it. It start bush now because the parish council election are come. That is why we get $3,000 more pick pound with light bill. That is why it is come back in the 21st century. Food stamp. That is why the food stamp them start to give out.
But look
that
at
is why
this.
they shop them. That is why they shop them now. The shopkeeper them now. All of them stock out. Them stock. Stock out.
Yes.
All the people in the market. All of them just see them at the place. All the government agencies, them. Everybody start
It's so
to collect
funny.
them pay.
The last time when it was the time for the PNP conference, I remember asking you when it was, and you couldn't tell me the date. But you well and know JLP conference. I have a feeling that you have fifth columnist.
Me could have over there, so I'm not rich. I'm poor. Look, I'm poor.
You
Every
poor?
labor right now, I'm poor like a
And you
church
want to
mouse.
throw away $3,000?
If me went labor right, me that get a contract over CMU.
Fidoa.
Petrojam.
Fidoa.
If I have me pump gas over Petrojam, me that get it. Me that rich today.
But you can't. Pumping gas is a hard job. You know?
All of them billions of them find on a whole lab and the high-end vehicle during the whole Petrojam scandal. What happened to them?
Anyway.
What happened to them?
I have 30 seconds to go.
What happened to them?
You have anything of interest, anything more of interest to say?
Get rid of the UN Secretary General. He is of no use.
And put in who?
Get somebody else. Then can America. Then if you have some get us since the election on Israel, they not kill one more Palestinian since the election. Then kill a Palestinian right up to election day because they have to go enter parliament in Israel pan Palestinian blood. And the UN sit down and say
you take side in this debate. Yeah. What a way. All right.
About it.
Anyway, can't hold it we are ball out. Have a good weekend.
Government badness and joelness.
Can't hold it we are ball out. Have a good weekend. Dovey Magnum.
Reach home
Thank you guys. Have a safe weekend. Whatever you do this weekend with, thank you so much for your time. Thank you to my producer Kimberly Wright, Broderick the Wine, my X&Y, Daniel Thompson. Look forward to having your company again next week. Enjoy. I'm Emily Shields.